Good afternoon. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Tracy Newkirk, and I have one of my favorite people in the world with me today, Micah McMinn, fellow strengths coach, worship pastor, Brushy Creek. I'm just really excited to have you today, Micah, and to let you lead us in your wisdom around your strengths. And so introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and who you do it for and your top 5 strengths.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Super excited to be with you this morning. If you don't know Tracy or ICAP, you definitely need to find them, look them up. I'm super grateful anytime Tracy and I get to share a coaching day together or any type of webinar, conversation piece, interview. We always have great synergy and good chemistry together. I'm super grateful to be with you today. Yeah, like you say, I'm actually a pastor on staff here in South Carolina. I'm a worship pastor, and I'll do teaching and coaching with staff and church members and different fun stuff. I also am a coach and consultant. So Tracy introduced me. She allowed me to the fountain to drink the Kool-Aid, and I am a self-awareness person now. So I'm super grateful that Tracy introduced me to the world of just knowing thyself and knowing that when we understand ourselves and others, we can truly, I think, be who we are in a celebratory capacity instead of having this weight, almost these chains of having to be someone that we're not and feeling guilty about that. And so through the avenue of strengths, I began to learn and have permission to be me and be super happy about that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm a coach and consultant. I do work at my church, and my top 5 strengths deeply enable me to be super successful in what I do. So my top 5, the domains that my strengths live in are in the influencing domain and the relationship building domain. So my top 5 are activator, 2, harmony, 3, adaptability, 4, woo, which is the acronym for win others over. And then my 5th strength is communication. So those 5 uniquely together really allow me to have a fun time, a blast when it comes to dealing with people, their betterment, the faith-based environment, so particularly ministry, pushing people to find their peace, their faith, strength, allowing them to really be the best version of who they are out of their convictions. So I'm super grateful to be with you today, Tracy. Thanks for inviting me on.
You're welcome. So glad to have you, Micah. Well, let's just kind of get started here. And, the experts are calling this the Great Reset. They're saying these last 8 weeks for us are like a great reset for all of us. And I loved your bit about the self-awareness, because I think it has been a time for us to really be self-aware of our needs and our desires, and maybe the hustle and how it was getting to us and what it was doing to us. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what strength of yours has helped you during this great reset over these last 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you and everyone else that's calling this the Great Reset. I think it's both for the good and not so good in some perspectives and narratives. Things are being reset, Tracy, whether we want them to or not. And I think if we don't innovate and accept and actually evolve through this Great Reset, we'll be left behind a little bit. And so for some, this is a great opportunity. For some, this is a great struggle. But in this time, one of the strengths that's particularly been a little bit of a hindrance in my top 5 would be woo. My woo, for some, woo can be just very, be full of variety. Their variability in their woo can be a Russian roulette. Mine is very tactile. I love to bear hug my friends. My woo is very tactile. I need to high five. I need to hug. I need to be in physical proximity with people when I meet them, when it's a networking opportunity. Not that Zoom and Teams and Google Hangout don't scratch that itch, but it's not the fullness of the woo that I have and that I need. And so you helped me to see, Tracy, and Gallup really pushed not too many years back that all of our strengths, even if we might have the same individual strength, the dimension of that strength can look very different. So my woo can be completely different than someone else's woo. Mm-hmm. Mine, it has been really hard particularly in this 8-week span, and we don't know if we have 8 weeks more creating a 16-week or 30-week or however many weeks ahead. The strength that has been most hard and difficult for me has specifically been my woo, because mine is a very just tactile one. I have 2 daughters, my 3 and 1-year-old. I'm a very physically affectionate parent towards my kids. When I meet a stranger, I want to be able to look them eye to eye, shake their hand, make an actual connection with them that's not just information based. This is their name, this is what they do, and I need to remember that. I want to be able to have a physical just connection with someone. And so for me, particularly woo has been one that's been really hard.
This whole elbow bump, I don't know about you, but like somebody will come up and elbow bump me and I'm almost like, it doesn't feel right.
It's painful. It's the mirage of intimacy. It's like, because I'm told I have to, like, put her here, pal. And it's just a fake. It's hard. It's so hard.
And I saw somebody in the grocery store, because my woo wants to be very kinesthetic too and very tactile. I love that word. And so I had just, gave her this big hug. She was like stiff as a board. And I was like, sorry, COVID-19. Sorry.
I know.
Get it.
I'm with you on the elbow. That's funny.
All right. So what has helped you? What strength do you think has helped pulling you through kind of this great reset?
Definitely adaptability. And the reason why adaptability has been able to help me reset. So at the beginning of the awareness of pandemic, us being given instructions by Dr. Fauci and all of these different things, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. I had a little bit of just a mental freeze of, oh my goodness. And I'm sure the rest of the world had that pause and reflection of, there is now a new normal that I have to both physically accept, but also mentally accept. There's a shift in the mind of, how do I interact in the world around me? How do I now reset my calendar? What does my calendar look like? So for me, particularly adaptability, once I had to shift, okay, I have to come up with a mental reconciliation now with what's being told to me. And now physically, I have to shift, and to use one of your words, I have to pivot. I have to create a new normal now, because what was normal is no longer acceptable for me or for the world around me. So I have to innovate a new normal. I have to dig new ditches, new rhythms. And so for the first maybe 48 hours, 72 hours, it was almost I have to mentally reconcile with the new world that I now live in, but particularly adaptability, and also harmony, my inner harmony with self, but particularly adaptability allows me, it's the most present of all of the strengths. No matter if we're in a monsoon or we're at the beach and we're under an umbrella, the most, for me at least, what I've found, and this is more anecdotal than a fact, but the most present of the strengths is adaptability. It is the now, it's the go with the flow. If something comes, great. If it doesn't come, great. And so particularly adaptability has been the one that's been most helpful for me in shifting and pivoting, and helping me to manage.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. There's a lot of wisdom in that, Micah. And I think the workforce itself, those people who are struggling to be adaptable have probably struggled the most, right? Who love to be in control, know exactly what's going on, all the ducks in a row. They're probably the ones who've struggled the most now. And yet there's so many articles about being adaptable and learning to pivot and how important that is in the workforce, and even more so in the last 8 weeks. So excellent wisdom there. All right, so let me ask you this. This is something that you and I have talked about before, the importance of dreaming, and how as adults that we've got to always be challenging our spouses to dream, challenging ourselves to dream, because when we stop dreaming, sometimes people lose hope, right? So what strength is helping you dream for the future? Yeah,
I love that word dream. And I have to at times lean into my spouse or even really close friends. If you're familiar with strengths, you'll know that futuristic and ideation are two of the ones that are most powerful in this particular conversation. But my ideation and futuristic are a little bit farther down the line. But I know that and this is Strengths 101, all of us can do anything we want to, but the way that we approach and achieve that task looks completely different based off our strengths and personalities. So I can dream, I can plan, but the way I achieve the dreaming and planning looks very different than someone else. So my futuristic and ideation is a little bit farther down the line, but between one of my coworkers and also my spouse, my dreaming gets enabled and becomes quickly powerful based off of my ability, and particularly in my communication and activator. So for me, being able to create vivid experience through let's verbally process and externally plan, but also the activator in me is very like, let's get a whiteboard and let's think tank and let's write everything down, all the good, all the bad, everything in between, and let's just see what sticks. And then almost that harmony plays in, finding consensus. What do you like? What do I like? What's workable with the economy, our budget, your desire, my desire? And then my adaptability says, well, whatever you do, let's just do it. We can kind of make it work. It's kind of like spaghetti. It's not necessarily cutting brownies with 90-degree angles. It's just kind of like this thing. How do we make it come to life? And let's enjoy each other. And so particularly in dreaming about the future, probably the two strengths that help me the most would be activator and adaptability, because also what we do know right now is, Tracy, the future is probably such a popular word right now because it's completely unknown. The future could be completely grim, or it could turn over by the time this is done and whoever's streaming this finishes. It could be on the news, it could be on CNN, it could be on MSNBC, it could be on the radio, that the vaccine's there, the vaccine's out, and guess what? It's free. You know, like things could be so great, or it could be in like maybe college football and NFL somehow gets paused.
Right? My husband will be depressed for days.
He and many more. And so the future is such, and I think the future is always enticing. You know, it was in the garden from the Genesis story, and it is now. So much of the unknown in the future we want to know. And so particularly for me, the thing that helps me to dream and plan and wrap my mind and my ideas around the future would definitely be probably fundamentally and foundationally adaptability, but then it's springboarding off the activator. So for me, being able to pivot in whatever that idea of what's grim or what's great, and then let's move on it. Let's move on it now. We don't really need to sit. We can have a reaction to whatever that reality is.
Love that. I also think I love, Micah, that you use the term that we call complementary partners. You know, borrowing from our spouse or people at work for something that we're not, you know, high in, and how beautiful that is to go, okay, let me borrow, let me think. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You're learning to dream by executing in ways and learning through the strengths format of all the different options that you have. So I love that awareness that you just showed there.
And of all of the self-awareness assessments, from DISC to Enneagram to Myers, this is why I think Strengths is superior, is because it not only promotes self-awareness, as do those, but Strengths uniquely pushes you to a unity and companionship community piece of others' involvement in our lives to complement who we are not, so that we are, and it's the popular phrase, but it's so true, we are better together than we are by ourselves. And so that's
true interdependence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Beautiful. Thank you, Micah. So, okay, so here's something else. I've talked to some people who, they're great at dreaming about the future, right? But they're really horrible at staying in the moment. And so what strength for you is it that helps you to just be present when you go home and you're with those three beautiful girls that you have? What strength are you calling on to be fully present?
Yeah. I feel like I want to keep leaning into adaptability because it can just continue to shift and shift and shift. So while that's true, I want to use a different strength, probably harmony. So at my house, right now, I'm a little outnumbered, so I have a 3-year-old girl, a 1-year-old girl, and then a 29-year-old queen bee. And so it's a bunch of ladies at my house. And between the 3 and 1-year-old, they are both enjoying the companionship of each other and the competition camaraderie of each other. And so right now, my house is lots of celebration and lots of, I guess I'd use that word again, maybe even some competition for mom and dad's attention. So right now, the thing that is probably most outflowing from me is within particularly the harmony piece is I love that in the balcony basement words, they use, I think strengths use like finds consensus, common ground. So like what I'll do is if right now we had a member of our small group come over, and as a gift, they bought like the service came to our home, and on our post in front of our front door, it was like an arrangement, not of flowers, but of balloons. And it was a bunch of balloons tied together and faces drawn on them. And so the girls went outside, and obviously all they want to play with right now is these balloons, this balloon arrangement. And so when Esther has the balloons, of course, Stella wants the balloons because Esther has them. So if I can find a way to create common ground, agreement, consensus between the two, and they can cognitively wrap their mind around what I'm trying to create is the balloons are for us to enjoy. And just because she's enjoying them doesn't mean I can't enjoy that she's enjoying them. So I had to actually teach Stella, isn't it great that your sister enjoys this gift that was given to our family, and once she forgets about that gift, you can go enjoy it. And so it's almost like I had to teach her that you get joy out of someone else experiencing joy. So watch her enjoy this, and that'll be really cool. So being able to help expose consensus and common ground would probably be my most helpful response to being more present at my home and my reality right now.
Yeah, I love that. And Micah, I do want to encourage you and just say, I think female competition is, especially as you get older, is this looming thing that females can't seem to get over, right? And the beauty in what you just said, which I thought was just awesome and such great wisdom, and I hope that everybody's paying attention to this, is that we can get joy out of another woman having joy, and that it doesn't have to take away from us that joy. And so I find as a female entrepreneur that there's this huge competition, and we as females can't enjoy somebody else being successful, right? And I hate that. Like, I want to celebrate every female entrepreneur and say, good for you. Good for you. So thank you for that. And I think there is so much wisdom in that we as women can even learn. I know that sounds crazy, but that was just really profound today. So thank you. All right. So moving on, what strength of yours is really driving you to grow, right? We've had 8 weeks now that most of us have been remote in some form of fashion. So what strength of yours is driving you to grow, whether it's intellectually, whether it's spiritually, whether it's physically, whether it's financially? What strength of yours is driving you to that growth?
Yeah, there's a few different hills that are not obstacles, but are opportunities that I'm moving towards. Definitely certain financial opportunities, educationally, starting a doctorate degree, in the midst of a stay-at-home order. What do I do with that, having the 1- and 3-year-old under the same roof? So definitely of all of my strengths, the one that's helping me to drive on, to push forward, to advance anyways, would definitely be my number one strength, which would be activator. It's the one that is the like the source of energy, the fearless strength, the self-starter, the one that's, it doesn't take convincing for me to move forward. In fact, it can almost be like a little bit almost getting the cart before the horse, but in the right light, instead of that basement verbiage, more in the balcony space. It's exactly what I need right now, and exactly what our economy needs right now. It's exactly what a lot of people in their maybe mental status right now, it's what they need. I think we right now, a lot of us need a good injection in our spirits of activator. And so I would even encourage y'all within your businesses, families, faith families, wherever your circle is, your group is, if there's an activating person in that group, man, lean in. I shoulder up with those folks. I think they're going to be really helpful after, if this 8 weeks gives us a little bit of a coming up from the bottom of the pool to get a breath. Those are the people that are going to be able to shake off the dust of some of that just emotional weight that we've had to carry for the last 8 weeks, and be able to really take as much ground as possible before a potential maybe second wave comes at us. And so for certain, my answer would have to be activator, to be able to move forward during the period, for sure.
That's excellent. Well said, Micah. Thank you so much. Well, our last question today. I know that I know that you are a leader that many people look up to. Many people in our community. I know in your church. I know in your university that you attended. So, I mean, I have always felt like you do a great job at leading well. But what strength is helping you to lead well right now in all of those areas?
Yeah, I try to make myself available. I think in leading well, I don't think leaders do a great job if they're not accessible. So what I've been trying to continually remind the groups that I am directly responsible for is, amidst the isolation, the distancing, know that when you call, and it's not everybody, but it's a list of names under certain, again, like groups and teams that I have direct responsibility for. When those names come across my phone, or whether it's a phone call, text message, or email, within a 24-hour period, there's going to be a response. And I think that in this time, some of us in industry have been more busy than ever. If you think of Lowe's, Home Depot, Chick-fil-A drive-in, there are some people that have been slammed nonstop from open to close. And then there are some environments where it's, like Airbnb a few days ago had to lay off a quarter of its workforce. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of availability for whatever they can drum up. Mm-hmm. And so, but amidst all of that, whether it's I'm busy, we're hustling and going after it, I can't reply right now to, I almost am in this weird ashamed place. The economy has dealt a huge blow, and I'll get back to you when I can mentally get back to you. Mm-hmm. So I particularly have really tried to leverage the woo in me to continually make myself available. Now, certainly there are times in the day where I freeze my phone. I might as well turn it off if I didn't sometimes utilize it for family entertainment. Mm-hmm. One of the girls' favorite shows, it's called Daniel Tiger, and I'll use my phone for that. But apart from that, I'm not going to be on my phone during dinner time, unless my mom's name comes up or somebody ultra special reaches out to me. That phone's not getting messed with because I'm present with my family. But making myself available, I think, is one of the things that's helping me to lead well, and particularly in the woo. Woo people, again, they're outward-oriented, outgoing, networked, the rapport builder. They're very much aware of the social opportunities. And so me using that to leverage my availability to my team, I think is really helping me to lead those people well, because I don't think necessarily the people that I'm leading are looking for me to fix their problems or have the answers as much as to be available to them. Yeah. We don't remember teachers from elementary school because they necessarily taught well as much as they were available to us and they loved us. Mm-hmm. And so we remember them as our favorite teacher because Miss Root was available to me as a first grade teacher. She was available when my feelings were hurt or when I didn't understand something, and I went to Miss Root. She made herself available to me. I remember her. She's my favorite teacher. Why? Because she made herself available when I mattered. And so I think that that's one thing that our leadership should be doing, particularly in this season, is continually making themselves available, not feeling the pressure to fix the problem or have the right answer, but to just be available and be present.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. One of the quotes that I always said to my girls, I love quotes so much, was people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
100%.
And, obviously this sweet Miss Root, who was your teacher, made you feel valued and seen because she was available. And, we'll kind of end today on that. I love the wisdom that you've given us today, Micah. Thank you so much for being on our podcast. You've given us so much to think about with your being available, with your dreaming, with your thoughts about intentionality with your girls, with the way that you've just been humble about your woo and our elbow bumps for sure. So thank you so much for being on today, and we just really appreciate it, and hope you guys have enjoyed this Wisdom Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone.